Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your daily dose of zombies news from the game and its community here on COD Zombies HQ. Thank you so much for tuning in today. There's a bunch of very interesting in-game clips you're going to want to see today, as well as a new finding about details of an Easter egg here on Mauer Der Toten that we didn't know about before. So without further ado, let's kick things right off with our first story of the day. A lot of you guys probably know this already, but ever since Black Ops 3, all main Easter egg ending cutscenes for zombies maps are all actually rendered in-game rather than just playing a set video. That's because back in Black Ops 2, especially for Origins, those Easter egg ending cutscenes were data mined and posted online in their entirety before the actual Easter egg was found. So in order to combat that, in order to make sure it doesn't happen again, in their next game Black Ops 3, Treyarch started rendering all their cutscenes in-game. Now that didn't mean the ending cutscenes couldn't be leaked. People were still able to get these subtitles for everything that was said within the ending cutscenes, and many people were able to actually access the audio files of ending cutscenes, such as the Revelations ending cutscene, before they were actually totally found out, but they couldn't actually see any visuals of what was happening in the cutscenes. Now, as a result of these cutscenes being rendered in-game, there has been some very interesting odd occurrences in them in the past. For example, back in Black Ops 4 on Blood of the Dead, the Warden suddenly decides to make an appearance in the ending cutscene, and even here in Cold War back in Firebase Z, there's a bunch of odd occurrences in the ending cutscene. But in all of those cutscenes, I've never actually seen this happen, which happened to Reddit user Jared here on Mauer Der Toten. He finished the Easter egg and is going into the actual ending cutscene. All is well until this happens, where during the cutscene, he actually gets run over by the train, making the game think that it should cause him to go down, resulting in a random fading out and black screen, only for the game to try and correct itself in the next sequence where it tries to just go back to being a normal cutscene. I would imagine that it is going to be super rare in order for this to be replicated again, in order for that split second that your character's on the train tracks in the cutscene actually results in the train coming by and downing you. But as weird as it is, I'm glad it just straight up didn't end the game right there and force the player to miss out on the rest of the ending cutscene, but it's weird for sure. Next up, a new detail of the Disco Bunny Easter egg was recently found out. Of course, we know how to actually complete the Easter egg, but one detail was noticed by a Reddit user, where he noticed that if you ever forget how many parts of the bunny you've already collected in order to trigger the Easter egg, you can actually go take a look at the physical location of the disco on the map, and it will tell you how many parts you've collected, and it shows you this based on how many windows of the disco are currently lit up. So if you've only got one part, only one window will be lit up, 2 parts, 2 windows, and so on and so forth. But moving on to our next story, in yesterday's video we went in depth covering some of the major issues with the tier 5 Mule Kick perk right now in Black Ops Cold War, wherein if you rebuy Mule Kick after you've lost it, that weapon will actually be totally glitched and you just gotta get rid of it. I was kind of maybe expecting Treyarch to release a new patch for Cold War Zombies today. We really haven't had a big patch for Mauer Der Toten yet, fixing some of the major issues on that map that we've been aware of. I'm kind of hoping that it'll release tomorrow in its stead, but in the meantime, if you do decide to play tonight or tomorrow, people have been reporting that the issues with the Mule Kick perk are centered around when you get the Mule Kick perk from the Wonderfizz machine, with a lot of players reporting that you're able to avoid the issue if you actually head down to the Mule Kick machine down in the underground ghost station and buy the perk back from there instead. So if you do decide to hop back on Zombs, go buy Mule Kick from its actual perk machine, tell your buddies, and hopefully that'll help avoid this issue in the future. Though of course that fix won't help you much if you decide to play on one of the 2 prior Zombies maps that isn't Mauer, that doesn't feature a physical perk machine for Mule Kick, at least until Treyarch addresses it directly. But speaking of being able to address something directly, moving on to our next story, I know a lot of you guys have seen and have pointed out various interesting bugs and glitches associated with the rappel lines, people getting stuck on the rappel lines. We saw one of the biggest streamers in the world, XQC, get stuck on the rappel line a few days ago, but I've never seen anything like this happen to Caboose Xbox over on Reddit, where when he went up the rappel line, instead of just getting stuck, the game actually teleports him to the middle of the map by Pack-a-Punch, and he's just stuck there forever. If you notice, the game is still slowly moving him from right to left, so I wonder if this player eventually just started to be pushed outside the actual boundaries of the map. But yeah, definitely one of the oddest glitches we've seen associated with the Rappel lines so far. And hey, since we're on this train, might as well just keep on trucking here. Well, you know, you can kind of get stuck on a rappel rope, you can get downed in the ending cutscene, and apparently you can also just get downed spontaneously, as Spike935 over on Twitter unfortunately found out, where he just got like teleported under the map for some reason. Actually, an interesting thing to note, since we can actually see underneath the map in this case, unfortunately it does go down as a result. If you look in the distance for a moment, you can actually see a couple of black boxes underneath the map far away from this player's location. Well, those are actually the teleport boxes on the map that you actually get teleported to before the game moves you to a certain location during the boss fight with Valentina. So while it sucks that he spontaneously combusted and went down for no reason, it's for science, and we kind of get to see where those teleport boxes are underneath the map here on Mauer Der Toten. Next up, slowly as time has gone on, we're starting to build up more information from the ciphers on the map as people begin to find and solve more of them, and that continues today with the F cipher being solved by Origin Wormy over on Reddit, which offers a very interesting letter to Colonel Kravchenko, likely from Dr. Peck. And while you might say, well, you know, I don't really care that much about the story, these ciphers don't matter a whole lot, I'd 100% disagree now more than ever. And I want to make this into its whole video in the future, but now as of the release of Mauer Der Toten, it's actually the first time here in Cold War Zombies where we don't know where the next location of the next map will be. There should still be one final map here in Cold War Zombies for its regular DLC season, but up until this point, the locations of Vietnam for Firebase Z and Berlin here for Mauer Der Toten were leaked months beforehand, before the game even came out, so we knew where we were going. But that all changes with this next map. Now, there is some kind of vague leak theories that might point to some crazy idea that we might be going back to the giant Der Riese, which is of course a possibility, but I've got my own theories about that I want to kind of pack into its own video sometime in the future. But I gotta say, as much as I love talking about kind of leaked content and what's going to come in the future before it's announced, as that can be really fun, it's also now really fun to actually not know what's going to happen in the future here in Cold War Zombies. But guys, that wraps up the news today. I want to thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you did enjoy the video, consider leaving a thumbs up on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But like I said earlier, I think it's likely that we'll see the first big patch since the release of Mauer sometime very soon from Treyarch. There are a bunch of really bad issues associated with this map, but nothing that's like crazy game breaking, which I do commend Treyarch for. I know some of you guys have talked about some crashing issues on Mauer. It hasn't been that widespread from what I've seen online, which is a good thing. But we'll have to wait until tomorrow to see if Treyarch actually delivers or not. Guys, I want to thank you again for watching, and I'll see you with another Zombies news video tomorrow. Peace.